It's Friday, July 27th, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. The third person held by police in Monday's $3 million drug bust aboard the luxury yacht Ecstasy, owned by Goddard Enterprises, has been identified as Walter O'Neal Prescod. According to multiple sources intimately involved in the 4-day-long investigation, Prescod was the third crew member aboard the vessel, along with Charles Herbert, the chairman of Goddard Enterprises and head of the Barbados Private Sector Association, and the company's non-executive director, Chris Rogers, all of whom are still being questioned by lawmen. Prescod, who has a previous drug conviction, was jailed for 12 years back in March of 2001 for importation and possession of 250 pounds of marijuana on March 3, 2000. Meanwhile, police are dismissing concerns about their lengthy investigations. Public Relations Officer Acting Inspector Rodney Innes told Barbados Today that police are carrying out thorough investigations and would update the public when there was more information through an official media release. The National Union of Public Workers has decided not to pursue any serious disciplinary action against its president, Agkani McDowell. However, following a 6-hour-long meeting at its Dalkeith St. Michael headquarters, the National Council ordered the president to immediately return the union's credit card, which is to be cancelled. The embattled McDowell has also been ordered to repay all union monies spent for personal use. A subcommittee of the council has also been set up to make recommendations on a new credit card use policy for the NUPW. Inside sources told Barbados Today that no president can use any credit card belonging to the union in the meantime. The union's General Secretary, Roslyn Smith, says the council will meet again next Thursday. The near 60-year-old legislation that established the Barbados Fire Service needs a makeover. That's according to Home Affairs Minister Edmund Hinkson. Addressing the 38th Passing Out Parade and Awards ceremony of the Barbados Fire Academy on Wednesday night, Hinkson did not set a timeline, but he says changes are important to boost the operations of the fire service.
The legislation which governs and establishes the fire service has existed without any substantial reform or overhaul since the year in which I was born, 1961. There has been no major revision of the Act to modernize and position it in line with current practices in the discipline. I am aware that the management of the service over the last 3 years has proposed legislative amendments which, if enacted and proclaimed, would empower it to evolve into a comprehensive fire management and rescue operation, which will ultimately be more responsive to the demands of the 21st century in which we live.
The minister also addressed the contentious issue of promotions. While he gave no commitments, he acknowledged that there were pressing concerns.
I am also briefed that the lack of defined and specific rules relating to the promotion of fire officers has been a legitimate cause of concern within the service within recent times. I think again Mr. Scantlebury mentioned that earlier today.
Prime Minister Mia Mottley has been talking trade at a special briefing with her team yesterday. She underscored the importance of trade to the island's economic recovery and transformation and the need for Barbados to re-emerge as a regional trade hub. Government ministers and ambassadors Dame Billy Miller and Clyde Maskell attended the talks. They were briefed by Executive Director of the International Trade Center, Arancha Gonzalez, her Chief de Cabinet, that's her Chef de Cabinet, and Chief Advisor Matthew Wilson, who is also a former Barbados Foreign Service officer, and the Director General in the CARICOM Office of Trade Negotiations, Ambassador Gail Mathering. Government, the private sector, and civil society must forge new strategic partnerships. So says Managing Director of the Caribbean Center of Excellence for Sustainable Livelihoods, Marcia Brandon. She told an entrepreneurship workshop entitled Capitalizing on the Culture, Creative and Climate Change Industries yesterday that stakeholders must be prepared to change their mindset if they expect such partnerships to bear fruit.
So for sustainable development to happen in Barbados, partnership between civil society, private sector and government is extremely critical. Now we know, and this is something that people have started saying, they weren't saying it before, but we know this. Because we know it takes a village to do anything. Yeah? We also know there's enough in this world. And I'm ashamed that we've started saying it, but we're still not living it. We also know that no one should be left behind. No one. Because when we talk about productivity in our sectors, in our countries, it is because we have left behind many people in our societies. And that is why productivity is a problem. So the ones who are wasting their energies on antisocial behaviors, who have fallen out of the safety nets, they can't add to productivity the way we want them to. But they could, because they have mad skills, right?
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from the region now, the Bahamas government responds to comments by a Haitian official for Shantytown residents to purchase land. Kishla Adeli of ZNS News has the details.
A diplomatic spat has emerged over comments made by a Haitian embassy official on an alternative to pending Shantytown evictions. It all stems from a pronouncement made by Mr. Carl Henry Chartelet, first secretary of the Haitian embassy, that the Bahamas government should consider buy or lease arrangements for Shantytown residents instead of the government-led evictions come August 10th. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Her Excellency Rhoda Jackson, acting permanent secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, spoke frankly and deliberately to Mr. Francois Michel, the Haitian chargé, indicating that the public statements accredited to Mr. Chartelet warranted the gravest concern of the Bahamian government, explaining that the position gave the government a sense of external interference in its domestic affairs. Ms. Jackson emphasized the sensitivity of the Shantytown program, especially in the government's attempt to have all communities in the Bahamas integrated. She further stressed that although the Bahamian government had always worked extremely closely with the Haitian government, it would not tolerate that type of pronouncement. Mr. Michel stated that the embassy was fully cognizant and respectful of the sovereignty of the Bahamas and sincerely regretted the impression given by the remarks.
And finally, on the international front, officials in Greece say there are serious indications that the fire which killed at least 83 people near Athens earlier this week was started deliberately. The blaze broke out on Monday and hit coastal villages popular with tourists. Several people are still being treated at hospital, while dozens more are missing.
Hundreds of rescuers are continuing to search the scorched ground and coastline for survivors. Dozens of people are still missing, including 9-year-old twin sisters. Officials say it's unclear if some of the missing are among the unidentified dead. Reuters' Deborah Kivrakasaios says that brings into question the next issue,
which will be how to identify those people that were wholly consumed by the flames. The question will have to be raised now about DNA testing. And of course the question of whether this area had been prepared, had been ready for such an incident has also been raised. But really at the moment there are so many residents that are just saying they're just happy to be alive.
With the death toll expected to rise, relatives are clinging to hope their loved ones will be among the survivors.
And we come to the end of our news update with this Reuters news report. But for the very latest, Visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you, and you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good morning.